Good day to you. This is Crypto Intel. I'm Max, your host, and today we're going to talk about how low can crypto go. And it's important when we're asking ourselves where the price can go, either low or high, that we understand that in any market, there's always going to be voices out there that are calling for the low to be lower or the high to be higher. There's always going to be bears, there's always going to be bulls. So what we want to do is take a look at what the bear case is and what the bull case is with solid facts around the price action. And that's what I want to do today. So what we're going to do is look at Bitcoin as a judge, because where Bitcoin goes, the rest of crypto is going to go as well. So first of all, why is there this dichotomy in views? And it's really because you can make a case for Bitcoin behaving as it did in past cycles, but you can also make a case that this cycle might be different in a number of different ways. So we're going to look at all that today. Now let's get started with Bitcoin and just look at where we're at now. And you can see that we had our high back in November of 2021, and we reached a low around 1 year later in November of 2022. Now we are in this year 2023, we are moving up, and we're just starting to retrace a little bit. So the question really is, are we going to go any lower, or are we going to just kind of stay around the 25,000 mark and then keep going up? So in order to answer that question, the first thing to do is to look back at other cycles. So what I've done here is I've looked back at 2 or 3 different cycles. This is the one previous where we had our high. This blue line here is the high of the cycle. That happened in December of 2017. And before that, the red line here, this is where we had the halving. Okay, so this was the last cycle. The halving was in July of 2016. And what you can see is that in the year after the halving, we have a rise up to our all-time high, and then we basically have 2 years to the next halving. And what happened in the last cycle was we had a low. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. We had a low right here at around 3,000. And then in the year prior to the next halving, which was in 2020, we had a rise up, and then we had a drop back down. And we just about touched, this was the COVID right here, but we just about touched the first low that we had after the high. So there was a retouch of lows. Now, if we go back one other cycle, this is the cycle in 2013 to 2016, we see that the high came in 2013 after this halving in 2012. The next halving was in July of 2016, so we had a high around 1150, say. Then again, the same thing. We had a low here after about a year. We went about from January 2015 to August, almost a year, and then we retouched the lows again before we started really moving up, had the halving, and then we had the big parabolic move. And again, it's the same thing here, right here, the 2018. We had the high at the end of 2017, a low, went up for a period, went back and touched the low, and then we had the parabolic move that we just experienced in 2021. So you could say that, look, we've had a high, we've had one low, but we haven't come down and touched it yet like we did in the other 2 cycles. So this is where the bear case really is originating from. People are saying, look, we've gone up like we have in past cycles, but we haven't come down to to get around retouching the low or even going a little bit lower. So that's one possibility. Now, the other thing is that things are different now in terms of some other factors that might affect where the price goes. So for one, you see, we didn't really have a blow-off top, one blow-off top in this cycle like we did in the previous cycles. If we look here at the 2017 cycle, you see how Bitcoin price moved up very rapidly. This is just, say, from May of 2017 until December. It was only about 6 months, and it moved all the way up to its peak. And then it went down from there. It had its peak. We had a couple of what's called dead cat bounces where we went down, we went back up, but we never went back up to the peak. We just went down, okay? And if you go back to the previous cycle, before that, again, you see that in the space of from September, roughly around September of 2013 to December, even less time, we had the parabolic run, and then we went down and we never went back. We just went down, we got to the low, had some consolidation, and then touched the low again. But in this cycle, in the last cycle of 2021, you see the difference. We went up, we went down, and most people would have thought, okay, this is the same thing as 2017. It's the same thing as 2013, where we go down and we stay down. But we didn't. We went back up. We even went a little bit higher. And this fooled everybody because everybody thought we were going to go way higher. But we didn't. We had a double top here. So that's one difference. The other difference is that in the lows, we didn't go as low as we have in the past. If I look at the 2017, and again, I'm just going to do it roughly, but you can see about 88, looks like about 87% from top to bottom in the last cycle. In the cycle before that, right here, you can see that high to low, about 87%, roughly, okay? So roughly 87%, both previous cycles. But in this cycle, if we take a look here, you can see that from high to low, it's about 10% less. It's only 77%. That's a pretty big number because if we were to go down to 87% or even 85%, you see that would take us down to $10,000. So this is another reason why the bears are saying that we could go lower yet. But of course, we didn't have the blow-off top, one blow-off top. We had a kind of double top here. So it could be that we have a similar situation on the way down, where we go down not as far, kind of go up and then come back down and maybe test around this anywhere between the 20 to the 16,000 area. Okay, so that's another possibility. Now, the other things that are a little bit different is that the economy is different. We're in an uncertain economy. We have inflation, but it is going down. We have high interest rates, which we didn't have in the past few cycles. And then a third difference is that TradFi, or more traditional money, is starting to more and more get into the Bitcoin space. So you might have heard that BlackRock, which is one of the biggest money managers out there, managing trillions and trillions of dollars, has applied for an ETF for Bitcoin. That can have a big influence on where the price goes. So in the end, there's a lot of different possibilities. We could go down to the low that we experienced in November, around the 16.5 area. We could go a bit lower, down to maybe 85 or 86%, which would bring us down to 10. We could stay around either between 25 and 20 before we start to move up. Okay, so when you look at the possibilities and the probabilities, the main thing is to prepare your investment strategy with all the possibilities. Now you might want to gear it a little more towards what the probabilities are. In my mind, the probabilities are that we don't go too much lower than where we've been before. In the past cycles, we didn't go lower than the first low of the cycle after the bear market began. In the past two cycles, that's how it was. I believe that's probably how it's going to be again. So in my mind, the more probable path for Bitcoin is to maybe drop a little bit lower, maybe to 20, somewhere between 16.5 and 20. That to me would be the most probable low point that we get at this point, and then start moving up from there. We could just stick around this $25,000 area and then move up from there. But that's where I think is the most probable. Now, it is possible that we do go down, maybe even lower, down to around the 10,000 mark. But I put that as a lesser probability. So when I am investing, what I'm doing is I'm planning to have some Bitcoin purchased here, but I also have cash ready to purchase Bitcoin in this area if it goes down. If it goes up and we break, say, the 31,000 area, which is the highest it's been this year, then I'll start investing more, because that'll be a good sign that we're probably going to go much higher and start the real bull run for the 2024 happening. So that's it. When you're asking questions like how low will crypto go, you want to look at what the bears are saying, look at what the bulls are saying, but prepare yourself for the possibility of both and kind of slant your investing towards what you think the probabilities are. Okay, folks, that's all for today. Talk to you again.